What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 28 of the Charge to the Top, here with Hereford FC. And of course, today we are back, and we're back with a bang because we're going to be taking on Hartlepool. It's a big game for us. They're a very good team in the division. Since the last episode, we've not played as many games as I perhaps expected, but I do want to do this game. It's going to be a big one for us. You can see, looking at the league table here, Hartlepool currently in 5th, occupying that bottom playoff spot, and a win against them today would give us a little bit of breathing room onto the teams kind of nipping at our heels just outside of the playoff spots, and I guess within the playoff spots when you look at both Lincoln and Hartlepool. Of course, we have had some fairly good results against the likes of Barrow and Lincoln. We, of course, played Fylde last time out. It was a good result. I want to say it was a good result because it only finished 1-0 and we did have that sending off early on, but at the same time, it was disappointing in the sense that it was a second half goal we've battled down and it wasn't as easy as I'd like. Anyway, since then you can see 4 wins. We've actually bounced back really well, and I'm a little bit annoyed with myself, as you will notice, and I feel like I should address this first actually. We were in the FA Cup first round. I mentioned at the end of last episode that kind of given how my team had played, I wasn't so confident about that game and I wasn't going to do it as a live com. I got to that day and I was sat there thinking, should I do the first round of the FA Cup? Decided not to. We actually ended up beating Walsall, who are a League One side, which caught me off guard, if I'm honest. We actually conceded within the first 2 minutes, and I was thinking at that point, oh God, what's going to happen here? This is going to be a slaughter. Thankfully I didn't record this, and well, unfortunately it wasn't that at all. As you can see, looking at the game, we won 2-1 in the end. It was Payne with 2 goals. We dominated the game. We were actually the better team. We had more shots. We had more on target. You can see 5 clear-cut chances. It could have been a lot more than 2-1. But yeah, a fantastic performance against the team in the league above us. I can only really apologise, I guess, for the fact that I didn't live comment. I feel like morale was low after that last defeat, and obviously a little bit of a rough run of form. And I should have perhaps seen it coming because we did have some fairly good form going up into this game. You can see in the first of the 3 games in the league since the last episode, we actually beat Billericay 2-1. And this win, it was such a good win because going into this game, we'd won one of our last 5, and it was one of our last 6 in the league, actually, now I look at it. We did, of course, win in the FA Cup, but going into this game against Billericay, I was sat there and I was just... I didn't really know what to expect, I'll be honest. And when we had a sending off in the 49th minute, right at the start of the second half, I'm sat there thinking, if we lose this, this is going to be such a bad run of form. This could see the end of any title aspirations we have. I know it's early on, but, to lose another game would have been a massive, massive problem. But we fought back, and we fought back superbly. I'm now trying to recall how I actually fixed the system, and I can't remember how I did it, because obviously a man down, we were losing 1-0. I kind of thought to myself, right, we have to change something here. We've got to go on the attack. We've got to make something happen. We can't lose another game. And we actually got a goal, you can see, almost in an immediate reply. And at this point, it was kind of a case of, do I stick or do I twist? And my kind of thinking was, I've dropped a lot of points recently. The 3 points is infinitely more valuable to me than the 1 point that I could potentially lose if I was to chase the game and lose. So I decided to go with it and just keep on the front foot, and it worked out for us. You can see we were playing quite nicely. Keenan Bennett's here lapsing on to a mistake, laid it off to Shimanga, who finished it. He's been in fine goal-scoring form of that man up top, and it was great to see, obviously, Keenan Bennett's get the assist as well. And well, when that goal went in, as I mentioned, there was this dilemma. It's a case of what do you do? As you can see, it was getting very late on into the game. It's worth knowing, actually, at this point, if we just pause it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players on the pitch because Shimanga is off being treated. And obviously, we'd already had a sending off. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to score. This is how it ends now. We're gonna concede. We're down to 10 men or 9 men. We've had a man sent off. Shimanga's on the sideline being treated. This is not looking good, but he comes back on. He's carrying a knock. He gets the ball here, lays it off to Keenan Bennett, who slots it home. And what a win that was. I'd be lying if I was to say I wasn't jumping up and down in my seat as that goal went in. It meant that we won that game. And since then, we have built that momentum up. You can see here we beat Dover 2-1. Good win, this one. 2 goals in the space of a minute was kind of interesting. We actually went 2-0 up in this game. Danny Smith getting the Man of the Match award, though. And this is a guy who I really have to heap praise onto because he's a player. I think I talked about him actually in the end of season review. I talked about the fact that he had a good loan spell last year. I want to get him playing first team football, but the issue I have is that as the club's rising through the divisions, I wasn't sure if he was going to improve enough to keep up. He's kept up. He got man of the match in this game. He was absolutely superb, the youngster. 7.6 rating for him, and definitely a difference maker against Dover. And following on from that, you can see we won another game by just the 1-goal margin. It was a very even game, this one. Harry Lennon in goal, not in goal, in the centre-back position, having a great performance, as did Rafael Branco. This was a game where I have to give all the praise to our defence. I feel like Chris Owens also had a great game at left back. One player who's not been quite so great for us has been Philip Vincent-Day. Of course, a new addition to the side, but a 6.5 average rating for him. It's a concern. It's a concern, if I'm honest. I feel like Smith might have to come back in and take that right back position, but we did win it. Obviously, you can see here Stephen Payne got the goal in the 33rd minute. A great performance by him. He's been getting some big goals for us. He's got 8 goals in 16 games this season. I can't really fault him for that, especially with the form that Shimanga's been when it comes to his goal scoring form as well. You can see here 14 goals in 17 games for him. So anyway, those results do bring us into the Hartlepool game. In terms of the FA Cup second round, the potential teams I believe we can get drawn against are Notts County or Forest Green. They're actually playing in a cup replay, but I have checked, and I believe the FA Cup games are going to be going on the kind of first week of December / last week of November. Won't know obviously for certain until the fixtures actually come out, but that will definitely be the next episode, I imagine. And yeah, today we're going to be taking on Hartlepool, who are going on very strong in the league. They're currently in 5th. You can actually see recently they've had a bit of a drop in form, and by bit of a drop, I mean they've had a massive drop actually. They did win their most recent league game 2-1, similarly to how we did beat Dover just by the 1-goal margin, but they did beat Fidel, or sorry, draw against Fidel, who it's worth noting, or Fylde, it's Fylde, not Fidel, Jack. They have actually lost a game. They actually lost against Chester 2-1, so they're only 2 points ahead of us now. They're drawing a lot of games. That makes the defeat against them that little bit more annoying, but obviously something that's kind of been a trend, I feel like, with this save and with our Hereford side is we don't really like to draw. We just like to go out there and just try and score as many goals as possible. And, well, we're going to try and do that again. Of course, you may notice here we are, for the first time, recording an episode at least on the new 17.2 update. So you can see the player tactical familiarity kind of area here. The player's pretty good with the system. Of course, we are rocking this 4-4-2. In goal for this game, we're going to go with Griffiths. At left back, it's Owens, and it's then Lennon and Rafael Branco in the middle. Vincent-Day, the right back conundrum. Do I want to play him? This is the dilemma that I have, basically, is Philip Vincent-Day, former Manchester United man, a very good player. I imagine he has a lot of potential. You can see a potential to be a League One player, susceptible to injuries, inconsistent. And the dilemma I have is he's just not performing very well, and there's just this debate of do I play Kane Smith, who, to be honest, hasn't played that much better. He's on a 6.89 for the season. You kind of compare the two players. There's definitely a golfing class, but at the same time, Kane Smith is the better performer at the moment. And actually, I feel like he's got to be the man to come in and play this game. I'm sorry to Vincent-Day. He's had a red card. He's had 4 yellow cards in his 15 games this season, and I don't quite trust him. He's just not had the performances. So we'll go with actually Smith at right back. That is a big call to make. Looking across the midfield, we're going to go with Harry Anderson out on the left. We're going to go with Keenan Bennett out on the right-hand side. A player who's been in pretty good form this year, all things considering. Alongside him in the centre of the midfield, we're going to go with Ollie Banks and we're going to go with Christy Davis. One of the big dilemmas I guess I've got at the moment is, obviously, we have the issue with Oscar Goburn. And the issue being is this guy is just, he gets sent off and he's a bit bad with his discipline. He's the best defensive centre mid I have. And in truth, if we look at actually Banks here, he's not a great defensive midfielder. You know, 6 tackling, 6 marking, 8 positioning, bad concentration as well. But he's a consistent performer, and I don't feel like he's had an absolutely torrid time yet this season. I feel like that centre mid defend role is perhaps the one I need to look to find a player for, if I'm being honest. If I was looking at my team, that is the position that gives me the most worry at the moment, along with the right back area. But at least for this game, we're going to give Banks the nod. Anyway, up front, it's kind of the front two which have started to pick themselves. Unfortunately, Ote being forced out the side. We go with Stephen Payne. Very good in the air, this guy, particularly at this level. He's been a good performer. He's in good form at the moment. 4 goals in his last 5 games. And alongside him we go with Shimanga, who you can see here, 2 goals and 3 assists in his last 5 games for him. 2 very, very good players for us who hopefully can really step up to the plate in today's game. Anyway, on the bench we've got Piggott. We've also got Paul McMullen, who of course we were without for the FA Cup tie against Walsall because he's on loan from them. But a very, very good player indeed on his day. We also have a few other options with Danny Smith, the youngster, who, as I mentioned, an exceptional player. Part of me is tempted to play him as kind of the advanced playmaker and just move Christy Davis across. The issue with Christy Davis, I guess similarly in a lot of ways to Banks, is bad concentration, bad determination, and also the work rate, marking and tackling just not quite there to play that role in the side, unfortunately. But this is how we're going to go. I'm actually thinking about dropping Joe Willock because we've got McMullen who can play on either wing. I like Willock and I feel like he needs game time to develop, but I feel like McMullen is just without a doubt, a better option to have on the bench, and they both fulfil very similar roles for us. Actually, I'm going to bring in Goburn for Willock just as a defensive midfielder option, because I don't feel comfortable with Danny Smith playing that centre mid on defend role. If we do need to mix things up with the kind of centre mid on defend role, I feel like Goburn, despite his tendencies to get sent off, is perhaps our best option. Another player we've got on the bench, of course, Alex Fisher. He's been doing okay, this guy. He's got 1 goal in 8 games. He's made a lot of appearances on off the bench. I kind of feel like with this guy, he's not much of an improvement from Ote, but he is an improvement. Ote has 6 assists, but he's just not getting the goals for us. I mean, part of me wants to give Ote another chance, and maybe this is the game to just have him on the bench. But at the same time, he's had a tough season this year, Ote. He's not stepped up to the mark. He's not made that transition that Keenan Bennett has. And obviously with Fisher, Payne and Schmanga playing well, it's been difficult for him to find a spot, particularly with Schmanga and Payne. I guess Fisher not quite so much. But anyway, that's the team we're going to go with for today's game. A little bit of rotation. I must confess, I kind of look at my team right now. I'm still not entirely sure what my best 11 is, which is perhaps not the position you want to be in at this stage in the season, because it's not like we're right at the start of the season anymore. Anyway, Hartlepool playing a very interesting formation. They're playing a 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. They're playing with wing backs out wide, but I imagine they're going to function more as wingers. We haven't really faced off against too many kind of 3 at the back systems. So this will be a little bit of a tester, I guess, for us just to see how we fare. Hopefully we can get a good result. Obviously, Hartlepool, not a small team by any means. So a team recently relegated to this tier of football. They have a good squad. They're up there in the playoff places along with us. We currently sit 3 points ahead of them, and obviously we want to get a win against them to extend that gap to 9 and give us that breathing room, which, as I mentioned, would be nice to have. A little bit of a less pressure. And, well, immediately from kickoff, we have just collapsed. Flores scores, 4 minutes have gone. And, I mean, where was the defence? There was just no shape. There was no cohesion at all in that goal. You kind of looked across the side. Players just looked lost at sea. It didn't look like anyone quite knew what they were meant to be doing. We were kind of caught a little bit on the break. But there's just so many men over here. I mean, Smith should maybe pull over. Maybe Christy Davis could be further back. I can't really fault Christy Davis. It was just a case of we lost our shape. I feel the issue we actually had was that the left centre-back, Lennon, just committed to go and close down the man. And actually, 30 yards out from goal, he could have actually afforded to stand him up perhaps a little bit, rather than trying to meet the ball and ultimately just leaving some space behind him that was vacated for the attacker to move into. But anyway, 10 minutes gone here. Not the start we wanted, but it could have been worse, I guess. You can see here, both teams had a few chances. We are having more of the ball, which is good to see. It is perhaps also worth noting that I have switched the fullbacks back to support duties. I've been to-ing and fro-ing between the fullbacks on support and defend. I normally have them on support, and in past seasons I've had them on support. We had a rough start to the season. I switched them over onto defend. We then went through a good spell followed by the bad spell that you guys kind of saw before. And following on from that Fylde game, I actually opted to play the fullbacks on support again. And it's kind of worked for us in the last 3 games, but I can't work out which I actually prefer at this moment in time, which probably isn't ideal. Anyway, Hartlepool with the ball here. Peacock turns his man out wide with Blackford now. Gets the ball in. Morris is there. He taps it in. And, well, we could be on for 2 defeats in 2 live comms in a row. And I say that kind of through gritted teeth because only 20 minutes have gone in this game. Obviously, it's the crux with doing all the big games, the fact that you have these defeats. But, I mean, we had some great results earlier on, against Lincoln in that double-header live com. That was 2 massive wins for us. But in recent times, we've been struggling, and it looks like at the moment, Hartlepool with the home advantage, a team who they have struggled a little bit with form, as of ourselves, really. I know we've had 4 wins in a row in all competitions, but before that, there was a big grey spell, which I don't feel like we're entirely out of. But at the same time here, Hartlepool looking to inflict some damage. They're 2 goals up. Looking at the stats, it's been even. We've just not created enough clear-cut chances. We will have a chance here, though, from a set-piece. Payne in the box. Banks, it's a deflected shot. It goes in. They all count. Ollie Banks with a goal. I said I wasn't sure if he should play on the centre-mid on defend duty. I don't know if a centre-mid on defend would have finished that. It is worth noting Banks is on a yellow card. We've seen so many players getting sent off in the role and position that he's playing right now. Part of me will be half tempted to maybe bring on Goburn at the half-time, but a deflected shot finds its way into the back of the net. And with 10 minutes left of the second half, a lifeline perhaps. As I said, we've not created a lot of clear-cut chances. That was the first of the game. But we have had our fair share of the ball. We have created shots and shooting opportunities. They've just not been good ones for us. But at least at the moment, in the moment in time, we're 2 goals up with a minute left. We look okay. Things could definitely be worse. in this game, and we have a fighting chance going into the second half. I am worried about Banks's performance just because he is on a booking. I want to try and cheer up Anderson. I've not been able to do that. I just want to motivate the players in this half. I want them to come out and be hungry for it. I feel like there was a bit of a lack of that in the opening 20 minutes. Banks on a booking, I don't want to sub him off because he is playing well. I know the goal really heavily influences his rating for the game, so it is a little bit perhaps out of proportion to what it actually reflects in terms of his performance this match. But he's on a booking, and it really does concern me. I feel like 60 minutes gone, I probably can't afford to leave him on the pitch much longer. I feel like that is kind of the point at which I have to cut things off and say I have to take him off at that point. And I know that I shouldn't necessarily take off the player who's having one of the best performances on the pitch. But the dilemma I've really got is the fact that I've had a lot of games, particularly in recent seasons here, where we have just lost our cool. We have had players sent off when we didn't need them to, and it's cost us matches. So I am going to bring on Oscar Goburn, who himself is a bit of a liability. Hopefully he can be well behaved today. We're also going to bring on Ote. I'm going to play him as the advanced forward. Shimanga, he's been in great form for us recently, but a 6.2 rate in this game, simply put, not good enough for him. So Ote is going to come on. He's going to have a decent portion of this half, 35 minutes to have an impact. Fresh-legged, obviously. He's got that bags of pace that Ote has kind of built up a name for himself for, and hopefully he can, terrorise the defence of Hartlepool late on in this game. As their legs start to go, hopefully he can come good. It's worth noting that actually Hartlepool have not had another clear-cut chance, and they've only had the one half chance since the 20th minute. We really have stepped up in this game. And we're on the attack here. Ote getting involved in the play. Ball whipped in, headed away, only as far as Owens. Back in the mixer. Christy Davis shoots. It's blocked away. Could be a counter-attack on here. We need to be careful. Big ball over the top to Terhorst. He's through on goal. Can the keeper stand up tall? He does. Nice stop by Griffiths there. Stood up tall. See a lot of keepers get beaten at their near post in Football Manager. So to see him kind of prevent that from happening there, very good to be able to see. Gives us a chance in this game. But that's perhaps a warning. Hartlepool, they are willing to absorb pressure, kind of take advantage of the fact we are now having to commit men further up the field. We are being a little bit more adventurous in our play, and they're going to look to hit us on the break here. I'm going to make some changes. I'm actually going to move Christy Davis up into kind of an advanced playmaker role, and we're going to play Goburn on his lonesome in the middle. I'm going to switch the fullbacks to attack as well. We've got to commit men forward in this game. We've got to try and make something happen. And, we're going to try and do that now. We've not all that long left in this game, if we're being completely honest. But let's see what we can do here. I feel like we have the talent and we have the energy still at this point to make something happen. Christy Davis struggling a little bit. Part of me wants to bring on Smith the youngster, if I'm honest. Part of me thinks he might be a good option to bring on. He's got good legs in him, has Danny Smith, a very good player. And I think he could be a man to make a difference in this game. I'm going to bring him on in the advanced playmaker role. We're going to give him a run out there. You can see if we just look at his attributes. Very well suited to this role. Has a few gaps in his games in terms of his dribbling composure and anticipation. But his teamwork, work rate and vision. His teamwork, vision and passing. Just superb. And his technique as well. So we're going to give him the nod. The Ginger Ninja himself. Hopefully he can make something happen. There is a chance here. Griffiths collects it nicely. Hopefully that is all we're going to see of that opportunity. As Hartlepool, they're not going to feel comfortable, I don't feel like, at this point with 1-0. They know that we're capable of scoring goals. It's something that we've always been capable of during our kind of tenure here at Hereford. And while we are on the attack here, Anderson, if we score now, do I cancel the pending changes? I might well do. I have to hover my mouse over it in case anything happens there. It's probably just a pointless highlight, but part of me wants to believe that Keenan Bennett can put something into the box. He can't. It is a pointless highlight, so we are going to stick with that change. Christy Davis, tiring a little bit. Not had the greatest day in the office, in truth. And Danny Smith now going to get a little bit of a nod, a little bit of a chance perhaps to try and make something happen for us now, but I don't know. There's 10 minutes left in this game. I've committed a lot of men up the pitch. I don't know how much how comfortable I feel throwing many more men forward. I feel like perhaps we have to do it though here. So I'm going to move Bennett and Anderson forward like this. We're going to switch Payne as well, I think, to a advanced forward on attack, and then I'm going to switch Ote actually to a poacher on attack. I'm not really a massive fan of playing two players down the middle kind of together on the same role as strikers, so we'll go with an advanced forward and a poacher, one of my personal kind of preferences, I guess, with a duo of roles. And we're going to go more direct. We're going to go hoof bolt ball. We've probably left it a little bit too late. We're going to be leaving ourselves massively exposed at the back now, but a point to us here could be very valuable. A draw here, it's worth more than a lot of points, because it would mean that we maintain the gap on Hartlepool. Unfortunately for us, I mean, they've had another chance there. Griffiths holds on to it. He's played very well in goal. He's made some big saves to give us just a fighting chance in this game. But the time is just ticking away in the top left. There might be one more attack, but obviously we are committing a lot of men forward now. A lot of pressure going to be left on our defence, and while Ter Horst, ambitious effort, not going to amount to anything, but that is the highlight, and Hartlepool will probably be delighted with that, in truth. There's just more time wasted here, and while time ticking away in the top left, it's been a competitive game. They definitely deserve to win by more goals, if I'm honest, Hartlepool. A bad day at the office for everyone in our team. Tshimanga, obviously, a massive goal-scoring influence in our side, and well, he didn't have a good game. He finished on a 6.2 rating when I subbed him off, and I kind of feel like that's the difference here. A good game in terms of the fact we held possession, in terms of the fact we got to play a few younger players like Danny Smith, but at the same time, just a little bit disappointing. You can see Hartlepool closed the gap on us. Now only goal difference separating ourselves and them. Fylde did win their game 2-0, but looking at it here, Barrow won 6-1, so they actually go ahead on goal difference now. So very competitive at the top of the table. We're still only 5 points away from them, and I feel like that Hartlepool game, it's a tough game. Hopefully we can kick on from that. Worth noting that Chester, who we play next, actually the one team to beat Fylde this season so far, so we can't really take them for granted as a game to play. It's going to be a tricky game and a competitive match, I imagine. But anyway, that is going to wrap up today's episode from you guys. In terms of when we'll be back, the FA Cup second round beckons. We're going to be taking on League 2 opposition. It'll either be Forest Green or it'll be Notts County. Now, both these teams fairly weak, and I don't mean that in kind of they're bad, but I mean they are like the lower end of the League 2 kind of spectrum in terms of where they are right now, and I feel like we have a better chance against them than I thought we'd have against Walsall. So after that first upset, hopefully we can get to the third round. The FA Cup, a massive competition. It's a great source of money. Obviously money not exactly a problem for us right now, but if we can get, you know, an extra few £100,000 in the bank from an FA Cup run and get into that third round and getting a draw against a big team, I won't complain one little bit. Anyway guys, that is going to wrap up today's episode from me. Thank you so much for watching as always. Hopefully you have enjoyed. As always, if you have, leave a like. If you've got any comments, leave them down below. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.